In America, you are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But people who want to buy guns often have to prove their intentions to the authorities ahead of time. Even after two major Supreme Court decisions defining and defending individual gun ownership, in many localities, Americans must still fight the government to protect their Second Amendment rights. Joining me with updates on those decisions and what impact they're having on Second Amendment matters is lawyer Daniel Schmutter and Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America. Guys, welcome here. Daniel, to you first. You have represented gun owners all over the place. In the state of New Jersey, don't you have to get a jump through hoops before you can get a gun? Isn't every inference against your right to own guns?
I think that's exactly right, Judge. The problem with New Jersey is that the law is stacked against the law-abiding gun owner. The way it's set up is very unusual, and you would never imagine that you could treat a fundamental constitutional right this way. The law in New Jersey requires that, first of all, the way New Jersey regulates guns is kind of backwards. They ban guns, and then they create these little tiny exemptions that you have to squeeze yourself into if you want to possess a gun. So you can't possess handguns unless let's say you're in your home or in one of those little boxes.
But Larry, isn't the law the opposite after those two Supreme Court decisions? Hasn't the Supreme Court finally, in 2010, after we've been a country for over 230 years, said the right to keep and bear arms is a fundamental right like speech, like travel, like religion, like privacy? So if I don't need a license to own a book, why do I need a license to own a gun?
Yes, but is the answer to your question. Yes, the individual right to keep and bear arms has been recognized by the court. It certainly wasn't established by them, but the fact of the matter is that it was a very narrow decision, in large part because that's all that was asked for by the attorney that brought the two cases in Washington, D.C. and in Chicago. And as a result, you can't ban a gun, but we haven't litigated all the other areas of how can you own a gun? How quickly and easily can you get one? Where can you carry it? Where can you keep it? All of these issues are yet to be litigated because that was all that was asked for.
All right, but you work in the trenches on this. I mean, are we going to be going through this forever? If you take the big picture, if you read these two Supreme Court decisions, Heller and McDonald, it's clearly that the right to own a gun is a fundamental liberty. And it is wrong for the government to interfere with a fundamental liberty or make you prove your entitlement to a fundamental liberty. Stated differently, the presumption should be that you have the right to own the gun. If the government wants to prove you shouldn't because of something in your past, it should have the right to do so. So in states like New Jersey, haven't they turned the constitutional privilege on its head?
That's exactly right. And to make matters worse, the courts have made it worse by requiring that these exemptions, these tiny little boxes you have to squeeze into, be interpreted as narrowly as possible. So if there's a way for a trial court in New Jersey to find that you don't fit in one of those exemptions, the court is required to find that way. Imagine doing that with the First Amendment. Imagine a law that said you can't own books. Books are banned, but if you can own books in your home and in the library and in your office. And imagine being required to squeeze into that little box just to exercise your First Amendment right.
Larry, hasn't it been determined definitively and without dispute that where people own guns, crime is down because the bad guys are terrified that the homeowner will use a gun long before the police get there?
That has been the case, and in fact, kind of counterintuitive to the way the political class thinks, the three states that allow people to carry a gun concealed without any permit whatsoever, no passing muster whatsoever from the government, those states, Arizona, Alaska, and Vermont, are among the lowest violent crime states in the country. Surprise, the sovereign people, when they're able to carry firearms to protect themselves, do a good job protecting themselves. Criminals know it, and the only people that are really bothered by it, other than criminals, are the political class.
We only have about 30 seconds. What's the chance that cities like Chicago and New York and states like New Jersey will recognize human freedom and do the right thing?
It's very hard to say, but it's unlikely. The problem is that these legislatures, like the New Jersey legislature, have a choice to make. They can watch the courts systematically dismantle the gun control scheme piece by piece until it resembles something constitutional, or they can get a sheet of paper and sit down and try to recast it into something that comports with the constitutional requirements.
Got it. Daniel Schmutter, Larry Pratt, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.
Before we go to our break, if you like watching watching Freedom Watch as much as we like bringing it to you, get ready for next week, for 1 week, August 9th to August 13th. Freedom Watch is going daily. That's right. You've been so good to us. Next week, we'll be right here on the Fox Business Network, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Back with the plain truth and the states versus the federal government after this.